Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this work session of the Washington County Board of Education. We have a quorum this afternoon, but this is a work session, and as such, there'll be no votes taken. This is a chance for us to receive and discuss information, and today's topic is the superintendent's fiscal year 2025 draft budget. So I'm going to turn things over to Dr. Savine, and he'll introduce staff and get us started.
Thank you, President Williams. Good afternoon, President Williams and Board of Education members. It's my pleasure to present to you my proposed draft FY25 general fund budget. Before doing so, I want to take a moment to first express my gratitude to Mr. Prue, our Chief Operating Officer, our entire finance team, as well as our senior leadership team for their steadfast support in the development of the superintendent's draft FY25 budget. We all recognize and take seriously the value of our resources. These considerations for our budget are made with our students and staff's best interest in mind. We literally take a line-by-line approach to reviewing the budget, ensuring that our efforts are having the greatest impacts towards the success of our students. As you will see this afternoon, our team is truly making the most of every dollar. Still, significant needs remain. I'd like to start our discussion with a message of gratitude. Last year, this board made an incredible investment in keeping our schools safe, addressing student behaviors, and promoting a positive school culture. WCPS welcomed 19 new school safety and security assistants deployed in our secondary schools located in Hagerstown and in Williamsport. Let's take a look at how they've made a positive difference as a part of the team at South Hagerstown High School.
The addition of school security assistants at South Hagerstown High School is making a positive difference for students and enhancing the school environment.
When students come to South High, they can come and they can go to class knowing that there's people that are here to protect them, and it helps them maximize the learning opportunities and the instructional opportunities that are here at South Hagerstown High School.
I think that the environment is great. Like, we come to school, we are going to our classes, and they make sure that we go to our classes. So we're doing what we're supposed to do, we're coming to learn.
In addition to carrying out a variety of security-related duties each day, the SSAs are constantly working to build a rapport with students.
It's been a huge part to have them really grow relationships with their students here at South High. That is so critical for students to be able to trust and to feel safe.
Before they even hit the door, we're out there, we're greeting them as they come through the door. And that's a big thing for them.
We go to them so they can help us learn better. So that we tell them what's wrong, they help us, so the outcome is better. We don't have to worry and stress about how school's going because we come here, we learn, and it's like peace for us.
Having somebody to go to when you might be in crisis or things like that, and that's just another outlet for students to reach out to. In this day and age, that's paramount.
It's been awesome to watch as our team has come in here to South High and built some outstanding relationships with some students that may not have had great relationships with other folks. And they have bonded with them and have really looked at them as even not just a safety and security person, but as a mentor or someone to model themselves after.
I'd say the majority of the students, they are with it. They do like it, and they'll come to you and they feel safe. As long as they feel safe in a safe environment, I think it's benefiting them. It does benefit them.
This type of investment is huge to maximize that learning opportunity. And all our students are our future, and we have to protect them, and we have to be able to provide them a safe and secure environment to learn in. And when they come here, they feel that way.
They bring a lot to the table. They're making sure that you pick up your slack, you're learning, you're doing stuff that you need to do.
I think all of our schools could benefit by having the right people who understand what this can and should look like, where we're not policing students, but we're supporting students.
Included in my draft FY25 budget. That's because there are competing needs that we must prioritize first. I'm presenting strictly a needs-based budget to you today, and we will, however, continue to consider SSAs in all of our middle and high schools in future fiscal years. Before we review the proposed FY25 draft budget, I believe it's appropriate to take a brief historical glance at the FY24 Board of Education adopted budget. As you may recall, in the fall of 2022, this board first adopted its FY24 budget priorities. This slide shows the board-adopted allocations next to each of the four established priorities of the board. In FY24, the board was faced with a significant budget challenge, which included daunting needs in each of its four priorities: safety and security, and mental health supports, meeting the requirements of the blueprint, salary compensation and staff retention, and combating inflation. Perhaps the most significant challenge faced in the FY24 budget was addressing complex, pervasive student behavioral and mental health challenges, which this board responded by investing in targeted positions to help address the needs of our students. This includes our safety and security assistants, board-certified behavior analysts, and providing more than one teacher in the classroom for some of our youngest learners. To mention just a few of the blueprint requirements, we saw increased investments in our highest need schools along with staffing support, specifically English learner teachers to address the fastest growing EL student population in the state of Maryland. As for salary compensation and staff retention, WCPS, just like county government, continues to be challenged to keep pace with local and regional competitors. As you can see here, the largest investment for FY24 was the salary resource pool, which provided an average salary increase of 3.5% to our teachers and administrators and an average 6% increase for our support personnel. While these figures represent an increase in salary compensation, WCPS did not keep pace with local government salary increases and our regional competitor to the east. Finally, I believe we all felt the impact of inflation last year, both personally and as an organization. Higher gas and food prices, utilities, and supplies. As we now turn our attention to the FY25 Superintendent's proposed budget, this board reaffirmed its budget priorities at the September 19th public business meeting. While the four priorities remain the same, the number one priority of the board is salary, compensation, and staff retention. This action of the board provided very clear direction to the superintendent and staff in developing the FY25 draft budget. I want to give you a glance at our discussion points for my budget recommendations. I'll begin with what we anticipate from our revenue sources. Then I'll move into each of the board's budget priority areas. In each of these areas, I'll detail specific initiatives and programs that we would like to enhance, expand, and adjust to meet the needs of our students. I'm excited to share some of our own stories throughout this presentation to show you the impacts of these investments in our schools. You'll see firsthand why we're so eager to grow these ongoing initiatives. You know, we feel like we're moving into this budget season with closer state revenue projections given the statutory per capita funding rates under the blueprint. However, we won't know for sure our level of funding until the governor releases his budget, likely later this week. We have seen our student enrollment gradually rebounding after the pandemic. This year, WCPS is serving 192 additional students. When you consider this change, also keep in mind that over the last year, we grew by more than 200 EL students as well. Still, enrollment has remained relatively flat in comparison to the prior three-year average, which is used to determine the per capita funding rates. When calculating the three-year average, we are currently using 3 enrollment counts since the pandemic, and we've dropped the September 19th enrollment, which was the highest ever for Washington County. There's a little silver lining with that. Our actual enrollment is now greater than the three-year average, which sets us up in potential revenue growth in the future. As you review the remaining items on this slide, you can see that our revenue increases are occurring in the areas where we see student and community needs growing. This includes more students living in poverty, greater numbers of English language learners and students with disabilities, and higher levels of need from our pre-K students. I'll give you just a moment to take in this graphic. You can see here, this graphic illustrates the trends we've seen over the last 3 years, including this year. We've seen a 21% increase in our students receiving free and reduced meals. 15% more students with disabilities, and our schools are serving 64% more students who need English learner services. You can see the needs of our student population are growing in the most complex and arduous areas, thus adding to the complexity of the FY25 budget process. When following the maintenance of effort formula for anticipated funding from county government, WCPS is only required to receive about $14,000 more this year in comparison to the dollars received last year. Keep in mind, this formula does not consider inflationary factors. In my FY25 draft budget request, which only includes our most critical needs, our ask to the Board of County Commissioners represents an 8.86% increase over the current funding level, with the majority of this increase being allotted to salary, compensation, and staff retention. In my interactions with department directors, principals, and other staff members working directly with our students, we estimate that there's an additional $16 million more in investment that could have been requested to maximize the support to our students. Many of these, what I consider to be true needs, will remain in consideration for the FY26 and 27 budget cycles. Once again, the board made it clear that salary, compensation, and staff retention is the top priority for the FY25 general fund budget. I want to restate the largest investment for FY24 was the salary resource pool, which provided an average salary increase 3.5% for our teachers and administrators, and an average 6% increase for our support employees. Our FY24 resource pool also included a pay differential for support personnel staff who work in our special education programs. These team members work with students with specialized needs, as you know, and as a result, we often experience high turnover and difficulty with filling these positions. To underscore the importance of the salary and staff retention priority, I'd like to highlight the work of the North Hagerstown Summit Program staff. You'll see a team approach here, teachers and paraeducators in one classroom collaborating to support the needs of students in this program.
The Summit program serves students who require a more intensive support system in order to be successful and earn their diploma. The paraprofessionals who work alongside the teachers and social workers within the program are a major factor in its success.
They are the lifeline between the classroom and the services that we provide. They have the heart to work with our kids, and they're invested in this.
The parapros are excellent at working with teachers. They will communicate with the teacher. The teacher feels like they're a co-teacher. I've even had teachers treat them, like a co-teacher where they help out in the classroom. They'll help out with other students if they need to, or if someone else needs help. They're really good at that.
The Summit program has helped me by getting me to where I'm supposed to be, helping me with my assignments when I need it, when I need to talk to them, when I need reassurance because I used to be a lot, but I'm better now. And they've helped me get my GPA up. They've helped me really with anything I needed.
Everyone involved with the Summit program stresses the importance of building relationships and trust with students.
The relationship I build with my students is very important to me because I want to have that trust relationship between me and them and let them know that they can come to me with anything.
We really try to be a nice, firm foundation for these students to really build that trust, to act as mentors with these students.
They make me feel valued by just understanding. I wasn't feeling heard from other people. They still understood where I was coming from or what was going on.
It's kind of hard to get students to trust adults, especially, sometimes with everything else that's going on in their lives. So that is the most important thing to me, is them knowing that I am here for no matter what they need.
The pay differential provided to recognize, recruit, and retain these valuable paraprofessionals was greatly appreciated and has been impactful.
The pay differential to me meant a lot because, again, it meant that we were valued by the Board of Education, that they understand that, that our positions are important. So them giving us that little bit of boost was great.
Being able to be compensated for the hard work that I'm doing means that I can feel comfortable continuing to work in this position. I don't have to go potentially look for a second job.
The role that they serve within our school system it's undefinable. How important they are to us, how important they are to our kids. I think that they deserve a little more, personally. That's my own personal perspective.
In FY25, it's clear we must continue to find ways to acknowledge the work of all of our employees so we can retain our incredibly dedicated and highly talented staff members, as you saw there, that little excerpt. Now, my FY25 budget proposal includes expanding certain school positions to more effectively support students, families, and provide continuity in terms of school operations year-round. For example, more than half of our elementary school assistant principals work 11 months out of the year. These are critical members of our school leadership teams, and we need them year-round. In addition, we have several 10-month support team members, administrative assistants, and middle school registrars that would best serve our students in a 12-month position. Their work simply does not stop during the summer months. Having a 12-month staff member will help schools be more responsive to families and meet our student needs. WCPS currently has a single transportation router. That means one person is responsible for overseeing the routes of more than 200 school buses, ensuring that our students are getting to school safely while running our buses in the most efficient way. There are 4 separate tiers of school start and end times, and many of our buses serve multiple schools across our county. This person also must navigate the transportation needs of our growing special education population. The work of the transportation router, as you just heard, is just incredibly complex. Our current employee devotes an extensive amount of time to seeing that every eligible student can receive transportation and that our buses run smoothly in the safest route of travel. When you consider higher mobility rates in our community, the routes constantly need to be adjusted. I believe we are highly vulnerable seeing WCPS in a transportation crisis, one that some of our neighboring systems have experienced if we do not bring on another employee who also shares this level of expertise. In FY25, we will see slight increases in WCPS's contributions to the pension system premium and our health insurance premium. Those of you that work with businesses, you recognize this is not unusual or unexpected for other employers across the nation. Now we'll get to the heart of this FY25 budget. This budget also includes $10 million in the salary resource pool. That $10 million represents a 5% increase to all WCPS employees. WCPS is the largest employer in Washington County with about 3,500 team members. I can confirm that more than 70% of our employees call Washington County their home. More than 40% have a Hagerstown address. Let's keep them here as residents and employees. We have seen our schools, and our board knows it all too well. The needs of our students only continue to grow, particularly in the recent years. As those needs increase, so do the demands upon our staff. Give you an example. According to the Northwest Evaluation Association, that is a nationally recognized not-for-profit assessment company, they quote, and I'll state, the average 5th grade math classroom has students spanning about 9 different grade levels. Our educators take the initiative to meet the needs of each student at the level that they need, determining the best strategies to help each child become successful. But educating children today involves a multitude of responsibilities that go beyond instruction. Many of our students across our county have experiences outside of school that they just can't drop at the door when they walk into their classrooms. Teams and resources of support are required to help remove barriers to learning. Sometimes it may just be about removing barriers to get through the day, let alone being able to participate in a lesson. Not only do our educators focus on academics, but they're also teaching students learned and modeled behaviors, behavior supports, coping strategies, and much more to promote a productive learning environment. Our team responds to the challenges because they're passionate about their students. These are challenges that they don't prepare you for in college, and largely not even through the student teaching experiences. A lot of our employees are simply learning as they go, encountering new circumstances and finding new solutions. It can be arduous but rewarding work on a regular basis. I'm telling you firsthand, it's incredible to see how our employees show up for their students. Our staff is the backbone of our students' achievement. I'm so grateful to have the honor of working alongside these incredible people who put their heart and soul into seeing their students succeed no matter the obstacles. I'm extremely proud of the work we've done together, and they're truly deserving of a meaningful salary increase, one that will help us close the gap with our local and regional competitors, one that will really show our employees that they are valued, that they are a critical part of our family, and that we cannot move our community forward to a better future without them. I'm so glad that our board has chosen to make salary and compensation staff retention the #1 priority for the FY25 budget. This is an investment that will have immeasurable impact. As we reflected on the FY24 budget to begin today's discussion, highlighted the investment this board made in safety, security, and mental health supports for this current school year. One of the largest needs we saw in schools was a demand for board-certified behavior analysts. These professionals are trained to address student behaviors and to equip staff with strategies for managing challenging behaviors in their classroom. In FY23, I want you to think about this. FY23, we had 2 staff members dedicated to this role. The investment of this board in FY24, we grew to 11 BCBAs serving our schools across our county. In this video, you'll see how our BCBAs are making a significant positive impact with students in collaboration with student support teams.
In schools across the nation, more and more students are struggling with mental health and difficult behaviors. In many of these circumstances, educating a child is not just the responsibility of the teacher.
Working with our social workers, counselors, administration, teachers, that whole team is what builds and helps kids. It isn't one piece. To act like one thing's going to solve the problem is in denial for reality.
This is a student support team meeting at Salem Avenue Elementary School. Social workers, teachers, administrators, everyone comes to the table to strategize and collaborate.
Everyone that's involved in the student's life is there to talk about what's going on, the progress that's been made, the support we still need to provide, and where we still need to get to.
Amanda Tinknell is a board-certified behavior analyst, or BCBA. She splits her week among 5 different schools.
I help the staff in the building with all things related to behavior, which could be anything from a student refusing to do any assignments to a student being aggressive.
Tinknell works across the county with students who have some of the most challenging behaviors. She's seen incredible progress, most often when students have the right supports and are held to high expectations.
I'm only here 1 day a week, but I know that there are things going on every day here when I'm not here that is moving everyone closer to being able to support the student and for the student to be able to engage in their instruction, but also learn skills that they need that are going to help them for the rest of their life.
At Salem Avenue, students are also supported by clinical social workers, staff who can work one-on-one in or out of the classroom.
Everybody kind of has their expertise and their niche and how we work together to look at the whole student or the whole family and that's just such a big important part of what we do.
And we just start slowly building that relationship with that student. So every day they come in, they'll feel safer and safer with us. And we'll slowly see that students, whether it's their aggression verbally or physically, it will reduce. And then when they come in, they'll start slowly warming up to the staff, and it's amazing to see those relationships build.
As the needs for behavior and mental health support increase across the county, so does the need for these support teams.
Not all schools are this fortunate. There are schools that are kind of out there on their own doing it without the supports. And just because we have lots of staff doesn't mean that it's still a perfect situation. The mental health supports that we can provide in the school are so needed, and we need more. I mean, we just have to do what we can to help our kids.
It is WCPS's goal to build these support teams in every school, including staff with specialized skills like BCBAs, social workers, and school psychologists. It's an investment that will benefit all students, promoting a positive classroom environment, equipping children with necessary skills for learning, and ultimately helping them pursue their dreams.
To share that to give you a great perspective of a team approach. Collaboration and compassion from our staff, as you saw there, is boundless. As the video alluded to, we don't have full teams of these supports on board at all of our schools, but at Salem Avenue and other targeted schools, based on the needs of the schools, these team members are making a positive impact with students by working together and finding the best approaches to help them become successful. Moving forward with the budget, I want to shift gears a bit now to highlight an upcoming initiative that demonstrates staff's ability to make cuts without sacrificing a benefit to our students. We've conceptualized the Innovative Ed Learning Center, which will be implemented next school year. This plan was developed by identifying synergies among some of our programs, then making cost-effective changes to maximize fewer staff positions while also meeting some specific student needs. WCPS will be merging several programs under the Innovative Learning Center umbrella. This includes our online learning program for secondary students, commonly known as ABLE, as well as Antietam Academy, the Family Center, and our Evening High and Twilight programs. Many of the students who participate in those programs often need a unique environment to thrive in their learning, and they'll be able to do that with virtual classes, smaller class sizes, and more individualized instruction. This is an instance where grant dollars are expiring, and we need to identify a solution to support students while also creating a sustainable plan for the future of these programs. All the teaching positions would be transferred from grant funds into the general fund. These are positions that were supporting the ABLE online instructional program for students in grades 1 through 12 that will allow us to continue under the Innovative Learning Center format. Certainly look forward to sharing more details about these plans at an upcoming business meeting actually next month. Now I'd like to share yet another success story that demonstrates the board's leadership contributing to positive student impact. This board committed some additional teaching positions to support our youngest learners in this current school year. In particular, we added teachers to 4 elementary schools to support a co-taught kindergarten classes. If a school team saw that a pre-K student had higher needs, they were identified and placed in a kindergarten class with 2 teachers. In a co-taught situation, these teachers can collaborate to be more responsive to the students in the classroom, but most importantly, these teachers are able to develop critical supports for those students to become successful young learners. This sets them up for a stronger start to kindergarten and lays the foundation for a positive academic experience up to and beyond graduation.
This kindergarten classroom at Ruth Ann Monroe Primary School is full of learners with unique abilities. You'll find general education students as well as students with very high needs. They all count on not one, but two teachers, a co-taught class.
You can collaborate, you can combine your efforts, and you really do get to make sure that you're meeting all the needs.
Kaylee Adelsberger is a special educator who recently switched to general education. Her co-teacher, Zoe O'Neill, just made the opposite transition. Their unique skill sets help serve all of their students and promote instruction with minimal interruptions.
Our gen ed students that need a little more of a challenge or might just need help with something, they have the opportunity because there are more adults in the room to support them. As well as our students with higher needs, especially those that might need a little bit more support academically or even emotionally, socially, with sensory needs, being able to partner and collaborate with what those needs might be and problem solve has been wonderful and great for our kiddos and us. Our special education students in this classroom are soaring. Their test scores are through the roof. We couldn't be more thrilled with our special education students and how they've been performing on all of our county assessments so far.
The students are also supported by two paraprofessionals.
The four of us are a fantastic team. We know the ins and outs of our students. We're all here because we love students and we want to see our students successful. And our kids are bright and they can do the gen ed tasks. They just might need a little help. Maybe the paper feels a little funny and they need a different surface, and one of us has noticed that while the other's teaching, and we can get them what they need. We're helping them become independent, that maybe one day that they could be in a general education classroom without the need of a special education teacher. But right now we're helping them fill those gaps. I'm so excited that they're getting the opportunity to participate and we can teach them the strategies that they need will help set them up for success later on. I have been in the general education classroom, and it was my job to provide the instruction for all of the students, including those students with disabilities, and it was hard. And I felt like I couldn't meet their needs to what they truly deserved. And being a co-taught model, I can see the support that we're able to work together as a team and meet all of the needs in the classroom. The co-taught model is where I truly see students growing in kindergarten.
I'll just say I'm so grateful for our board's leadership in making early childhood education a priority with our universal pre-K program. This co-taught kindergarten model is an excellent way to advance that priority for our community. My draft FY25 budget also includes additional positions to support, in particular, our students who receive special education services. As I've shared, this is also a growing area of need, both in numbers of students and in the complexities of their abilities. You'll see that some of our positions are already making an impact in our schools, and we need to continue to realize their benefits. As you look on down this slide, I'd also like to point out on this list, it includes our high school reading tutor apprenticeship positions. In just 1 year, we've seen how tremendously beneficial this initiative has been for all of our students who are engaged in this program. If you recall from presentation, the data that was presented at your August 1st Board of Ed meeting or business meeting, you saw more than 90% of our students who worked with an apprentice improved in their reading abilities. More significantly, 22% of students showed significant growth. So the program is helping us close literacy gaps, and we've also seen that the program is helping us grow our own workforce and contributing to diversifying our staff. We're seeing more increases in costs related to safety, security, and mental health supports. WCPS continues to struggle with filling some of the educational support personnel positions that we're required to have in classrooms to serve our special education students. As a result, you can see here, we're having to pay contracted providers for these services. For our students who have the greatest needs, it's costing us more to send them to non-public placement, where their needs can be addressed more effectively. In addition, both our city and county are increasing the salaries of their law enforcement employees in the fiscal year ahead. WCPS has to cover this cost for our resource officers. Based on their salary adjustment last year, it's anticipated that we will need to pay almost $400,000 more in the next year. Let me be very clear here. WCPS supports these increases for law enforcement, as we believe it is very wise to invest in our first responders. Again, we simply hope we can offer our employees a comparable salary incentive. Finally, WCPS intends to purchase a visitor management software platform in the current fiscal year. This comes with an annual maintenance cost of about $550,000 rather. That will also be new to the FY25 budget. Now moving on and discussing a little bit about the requirements of the blueprint. Our funding requirements through the blueprint of Maryland's future are largely to ensure that we follow the 75% rule, where 75% of our per pupil funding must follow the student. WCPS made significant investments last year to meet this standard, and these initiatives will help us to maintain and achieve this mandate. As the board is aware, WCPS has seen significant growth in the number of English learner students we serve. Next year, we will need to hire an additional 17 EL teachers to follow the blueprint funding requirements and equip our schools to meet the needs of their EL learners. The blueprint coordinator is a mandated position, which we previously paid with through our federal grant funds. Our supplemental teachers provide targeted instruction to our students striving to master content. These positions were strategically placed to align with student academic needs and to assure that 75% of our funding follows those students. Finally, I know our board is familiar with our robust student apprenticeship program, which led the state as a model initiative. This semester, there are 133 high school students participating in apprenticeships at 44 local employers. Given the college and career readiness direction of the blueprint and the growth of this program, it's critical that this work is managed by a dedicated apprenticeship coordinator. Again, these positions have been effectively used across our system and have demonstrated clear value for our students. Sustaining these resources from the general fund will ensure their longevity and their positive impact. You can see here on this slide, the additional blueprint requirements here cover increases in expenses and another transition from grant funds to the general fund. Excuse me. We currently pay for our math and literacy interim assessments with ESSER funding. These tools give our teachers data to provide necessary supports and close gaps on an ongoing basis throughout the school year. And they also develop targeted instruction in advance of our MCAP assessments. The rest of the slide here details areas where we're adding funds in FY25. You may recall this board invested an additional $2.2 million for students to participate in dual enrollment courses through Hagerstown Community College last year. We anticipate continued growth in the 2024-25 school year at a cost of nearly $500,000 more, which brings our two-year investment in this area to almost $3 million. This is a notable benefit to families as it allows students to get a jump start on their higher education credits without incurring debt. Now, last item here, in FY25, school systems are required to increase spending on technology by $63 per student. WCPS and our community continue to manage inflationary increases. Most notable in this next year, the cost to purchase needed school buses is projected to increase by more than $350,000, and our operational supplies are going up by $150,000. This next slide is intended to give you a perspective of how our increased expenses are allotted over the board's 4 budget priorities. As you can see, the expense for salary, compensation, and staff retention will always be the largest slice of the pie. But again, WCPS is the largest employer in Washington County with more than 3,500 employees. It's critical that we provide our staff with a meaningful salary increase so that we can recruit and retain the most talented employees to serve our students. You'll see here that funding for meeting the requirements of the blueprint exceeds the board's second priority, safety, security, and mental health supports. This speaks to how significant these funding mandates are for our school system. As I prepare to close, I want to assure you that the FY25 draft budget I've shared this afternoon is truly a critical needs-based budget. When staff completed the initial line-by-line review of our expenses, we eliminated anything that we thought was not entirely necessary. But that didn't even add up to $1.5 million. Our students are making progress. Our staff cannot be met with even greater demands. It's imperative that we maintain the good work we're doing and continue to be innovative with the resources we have. Our students and our community cannot afford to take any steps backwards. These considerations are incredibly difficult. My goal is to provide you with sufficient information and explanations for the board to continue your positive momentum with our community's children. Once again, I want to take a moment before I turn it over to just express my appreciation to our team members for their work in preparing, assisting the superintendent in this FY25 draft budget. Now, at this time, I would like to turn it over to Mr. Prue, who will highlight for board members key aspects of your budget notebook. Afterwards, certainly I encourage any comments and questions that board members may have.